Good morning, everyone. Excited to see you all this morning. Go ahead and say hello in the chat so that I know who's here. I'm gonna go put the link everywhere so the people who find me based on that can come join us. How's everyone doing this morning? Hoping everyone has had a great week so far, that you're excited for a Friday. Morning, Danielle. Good morning, Jacqueline. I don't know if good morning, Marissa. I don't know if it's still a thing to have big weekend plans. Maybe that's when you're doing your big decluttering or big cleaning tasks. But if you have big weekend plans, let me know. My big plan for the weekend is we have some yard work to do today, or this weekend. Over the weekend, we're gonna keep doing yard work. Sort of a spring thing to do as long as the weather stays nice. That's what we'll be doing. Morning, Mom. Danielle, all of your books are finally there. Awesome. So maybe you just have a big weekend full of reading. Sounds like a good weekend to me. I tried to start a new book last night and made it through like the introduction before I fell asleep. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get a little bit more of that book finished. Jacqueline, doing good. No weekend plans. Awesome. I feel like it is still just as valid to have a weekend to rest and relax. I think a lot of people feel like all this time at home should be relaxing, but y'all are working hard. You're doing lots of good schoolwork, probably lots of work at home, getting all kinds of good stuff done. So yeah, definitely still can use that time to relax. I love it. All right. So I'm going to jump into our poem for today, I think. Oh, good morning, Cindy. 200 pages or so into the book you're currently reading, getting distracted by things like TikTok. I also get really distracted by my phone if I have it near me while I read. So I usually try to put it, if I can, in like a different room, so that I won't get distracted by it. Yeah. Phone screens, all of that is part of its job is to keep us looking at it. And man, the people who put together those apps and use all that screen stuff, they know how to keep us looking. So if you find that your phone is distracting you, put it fully in a different room. And I find that that's really helpful. Hey, good morning, Gunika. So we've been working through some of these poems that we have been reading in the Honor Sophomore class. So I'm going to go through, today we're going to read Introduction to Poetry by Billy Collins. And this is a great poem. I love this poem. And I think students willfully misread it because it It says something. Hey, Miss Garcia. Yeah, it's an amazing poem. I feel like students willfully misread it because it says something like what you want it to say, but it doesn't say what you want it to say. Um, so I'm going to read it out loud. We'll see what we think about it. So this is Introduction to Poetry. I ask them to take a poem and hold it up to the light like a color slide, or press an ear against its hive. I say drop a mouse into a poem and watch him probe his way out, or walk inside the poem's room and feel the walls for a light switch. I want them to water ski across the surface of the poem, waving at the author's name on the shore. But all they want to do is tie the poem to a chair with a rope and torture a confession out of it. They begin beating it with a hose to find out what it really means. So, um, I think a lot of students get really focused on those last two stanzas where it talks about what students want to do, and we ignore all of um, what the speaker of the poem says I want them to do, right? Here's what we should be doing with these poems. Um, and I think that's because a lot of the times, all of that great imagery, right? To water ski across the surface of the poem, to walk inside the poem and feel around for the light switch. And those are things that students feel like is sitting the poem down and torturing a confession out of it. Um, but really, so much about it is about this need to explore, and to understand with an open mind, right? Not thinking there's a right answer or hoping for a right answer, but really working our way through to find something, and we won't know what it is until we find it. Um, so I really like that poem. I find it actually really interesting, especially with all that figurative language, which is what we focus on um, in the lesson in which we read it. So I hope we all like that one too. I think it's a good one. All right. So today, now that we've gotten our poem, um, I'm going to be giving a book talk on a book that I think some of you have already read, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say Danielle, maybe, that I remember you reading this book. Can't remember for sure. Um, so today we're going to talk about, sorry, we're going to talk about American Street by Ibby Zoboi. So that's it. American Street, Ibby Zoboi. You can find it as an ebook and an audiobook. I found both on Hoopla. Let me go ahead and put the title in the chat. So American Street is all about this young woman named Fabiola. You hadn't read it, but you wanted to. Okay, maybe that's what I'm thinking. Maybe there's someone else in class. I don't remember. So Fabiola is a teenage girl. She is a young Haitian immigrant, and she and her mom are coming from Haiti to come live with their family in the U.S. But on their way to the U.S., Fabiola's mother is detained, meaning that she is not allowed into the U.S., but they will allow in Fabiola. So Fabiola's mother says, "You have to go, right? You cannot stay with me in detention, right? Because you're not being detained. You can't go back to Haiti by yourself. So you need to go to U.S. And go live with our family." So Fabiola goes to live with her two cousins and her aunt in Detroit. So she has to go to this new school and try to understand what this new world is all about. Good morning, Alicia. And so she was really trying to understand what um, the U.S. has for her, and where her place will be in this new country as she tries to figure out what it means to live out the American dream. And she finds out that it's much more complicated than she thought it was. That her cousins and her aunt have sort of they're living the American dream in ways that she wouldn't have expected, and isn't always that excited about. So it's really interesting. I'll read just the little bit of a beginning here. So this is the beginning of the text, starting at chapter 1. If only I could break the glass separating me and Mama with my thoughts alone. On one side of the glass doors are the long lines of people with their photos and papers that prove that they belong here in America, that they are allowed to taste a bit of this free air. On the other side is me, pressing my forehead against the thick see through wall. My shoulder hurts from the weight of the carry on bag. I refuse to put it down for fear that they will take it away too. Maman, I whisper to the glass, hoping that my voice will ease through, fly above all those people's heads, travel on a plane back to New York, and reach her. We had been holding hands for courage when we arrived at customs in Kennedy Airport. Monmon had carried all of our important documents in a big yellow envelope tucked into her large purse. Our passports, her visa, and the papers to prove that we are who we say we are. That we're from the city of Port-au-Prince, that I am an American citizen by birth, and I left for good when I was only an infant, and that we own a little house in the neighborhood of Delmas, and that Mamman has a business selling brand name Pepe, secondhand American clothes. All these things to prove that we are only visiting relatives and plan to return home to Haiti. But how could they have read our minds? How could they have known that my mother's big sister in Detroit had been sending us money to leave Haiti forever? How could they have known that we didn't plan to go back? Miss Valerie Toussaint, I need you to come with me, the man had said. His voice was like the pebbled streets in Delmas, rough and unsteady as they pulled Monmon's hand from mine, as they motioned for me to continue through the line with Monmon's desperate pleas trailing behind me. Allez, Fabiola, go, Fabiola. Don't worry, I will meet you there. And as I got on the connecting flight from New York to Detroit. But too much has happened for me to cry now. On the plane ride leaving Port-au-Prince for JFK, I had curled into my mother, and together we looked out the window. Up high in the sky, all the problems we had left behind seemed so tiny, as if I could pick them up one by one and fling them out of the universe. On the flight to Detroit, I am alone. I look down at America, its vastness resembling a huge mountain. I felt as if I was just a pebble in the valley. My mother will be on the next plane, I tell myself over and over again, just like when she sends me ahead on my own by foot or by tap-tap or by motor taxi. I tell myself that this won't be any different. So ultimately, it is different. Her mother is detained for several months, and Fabiola is on her own as she lives in Detroit with her family, who she knows but has not spent much time with. And she has to get accustomed to a new school, a new culture, a new way of life. And so it's a really interesting book. I really recommend it. If you've read books like The Sun is Also a Star, um, All American Boys, even Refugee has a similar sort of feel. I really recommend American Street. It's a great read. A few years ago, we did it as a book club option. And the students who read the book, there was like one physical copy of the book that they were all sort of reading together, like 3 students all reading this one physical copy. And they got about 2/3 of the way through, and then they could not stop reading. The person who had the book, they were all about at the same spot, 2/3 of the way, and finished the last third, from, like, our first period class to lunch, pass the book on to the next person, who finished the last third of the book before the end of the school day. So lunch to 7th period, finished the book, pass it on to the last person who finished it at night, and then they got to school the next morning and could not stop talking about it, um, at all. Like, you all know we have 10 minutes of reading time at the beginning of class every day. They they had to go into the hallway and have a book club discussion for those 10 minutes, because they could not stay quiet, um, and even then, when I had to pull them back in to do, like, our quick write, they were mad that they couldn't keep talking about it. Um, so it is really exciting. You get to that last, like, third of the book, and it gets really fast-paced and fun. Yeah. Yeah, Danielle, I think you're totally right there. It's always hard being away from your parents, especially when you're in a situation you can't control. Um, and I think a lot of us, as we're going through, we're all going through a situation we can't control right now. And for a lot of us, we find comfort in having our families with us, or having those people, that we love near us while we go through it all together. Um, and I agree. I think it has to be especially hard for her to be in this situation she can't control. Finding out there's a lot of really complicated stuff in her family's life, that she has to deal with on her own. Um, and she's still in high school, right? So she has to do all of that normal stuff, all of the normal high school stuff, except it's high school in a different place and in a new culture. Um, so it's a really interesting look at, um, the multifaceted issues, um, that people have to go through, right? That, the ways that things are more complicated, um, than we think that they are. Yeah. So I really recommend it if you get a chance, if you're interested in that kind of a book. It's a great one. Yeah. So at this point, I did the poem, I did the book talk. Um, Feel free to pop any sort of, like, last minute questions into the chat, um, about our classwork, about assignments for today, um, about life and the meaning of the universe, whatever. Um, I do have my email open. I see that there are lots of emails today. um, j- please be patient with me as I start to answer some of those. Um, I know in APA I talked about I wasn't really feeling that well yesterday afternoon. Um, I'm still really not feeling a little bit longer today, but I'll still be at our Google Meet classes. Um, it's again perks of working from home and from doing school at home. This is the kind of day where usually I would have to call in for a sub because I'm not feeling well and I'm not at my best. Um, and I sort of just would need to be at home anyway. Um, so it's nice to already be at home, and be able to, um, still be able to teach from home. So that's nice. Oh, Danielle, that's not a fair question. That is like asking me what my favorite book is. Yeah, there's too many. It's too many. It depends on what kind of mood I'm in. It depends on which one I have seen most recently. I will say that for a long time, my favorite was Toy Story 3. I loved that one. It came out my senior year of high school, I think. Yeah. So I was sort of in the same boat as Andy, and I was coming into that transition of childhood versus adulthood, and feeling like you have to give up certain things. Um, and so I really like that one. I think it's great. I don't totally have a favorite Disney princess. I think it also sort of um, depends. I I really like Tiana from The Princess and the Frog, right? Yeah. She is just super cool to me. Um, but I also really like Elsa and Anna um, from Frozen. I haven't seen Frozen 2. That's on my quarantine list. Um, but I like that their stories are even less about the love story. I love that their story is all about sisterhood. So yeah, those are mine. What about you, Daniel? Favorite Disney movie, favorite Disney princess? What's everyone else's? um, oh man, we're slow in the chat today. We must all be feeling the Friday feels. Favorite movie, either Hercules or Lion King. Favorite princess, Rapunzel or Tiana. Yeah, those are also some of mine. I do. I love Tangled. Man, I was just rewatching that one the other day. It's a good one. Gunica likes Tangled. Yep, Rapunzel or Jasmine. Ooh, fun. Mulan had the best soundtrack. Interesting. I I don't know. I will say anytime anybody says let's get down to business, I the only thing that I can think of is to defeat the Huns. So um, that is certainly a good one for me. Yeah, awesome. Um, so I think I'm going to wrap this one up for today so that I can go back to resting. Um, I will see hopefully all of you later today in class on Google Meet this afternoon. Um, we'll be reviewing lesson 2 for our sophomores, and seniors will be reviewing thesis statements. So hopefully I will see you all there. I think it'll be fun. I'm hoping that our classes are fun and useful and sort of hopefully still feel a little bit like being in class. Thanks, Gunica. I will. I will do my best to feel better. And I hope you all have an awesome weekend. Make good choices. I will see you on Monday if I don't see you later this afternoon. And then, of course, always remember who you are, what you represent, and to show your Mustang pride. Bye, guys.